At Big Ten spring meetings this year, coaches took an opportunity to once again throw their weight behind the 2014 playoff that has been populated by the Big Ten since last October when I started writing about it at Fox Sports, and has since gained a lot of favor from both the ACC and the Big 12. Now that we are seeing just how powerful the Big Ten has become in the last 3 years and how much power the SEC is losing, this all from a competitive standpoint, let's talk about how close we are to a 2014 playoff and why some of these coaches are 100% behind extending the field. What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, answer the question in the comments below. Do you think we're going to see a 2014 playoff before we see a 16-team playoff? I think that's more of a better question to ask you as we're heading into, well, we just surpassed the middle of May. And we're headed into a week full of Big Ten meetings. Next week will be SEC meetings. Get a brief pause, and then we're into preseason with Big Ten, Big 12, SEC media days, ACC media days in earnest. 2014 playoff has been divisive for most, right? You have folks like myself who wonder why we aren't doing this already. I also got to talk with Sonny Dykes about this earlier this spring, and he's on it. He actually likes the FCS model, which has shown itself to work over the last decade plus. They extended their field from 16 to 24, and they don't really change who plays for the national championship or who wins the national championship. And the seeding is basically correct, right? You look at this conversation now, and I think one of the reasons that you're seeing more of the SEC really digging his heels, and by the SEC, I should just say Greg Sankey. And Greg Sankey certainly does have his reasons, but most of those reasons are built around trying to get as many of his teams into the college football playoff as he possibly can. And while he has succeeded in getting a team into the college football playoff in, I believe, every single season since we begun this thing in 2014, the Big Ten is the first to point out to you the reason that they don't like this is because they have not featured in the national championship game in each of the last 3 years. Last 6 teams to make the national championship include Notre Dame, Indiana, 2 teams from Indiana, my goodness, Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, and Miami. You know, like that's no Big 12 team, that's no SEC team. And it ain't the Big 12 that's crying about this. The Big 12 is going, no, we understand, we see the vision here. There are also those that believe that there's a better way to go here. I think Bill Barnwell actually had a piece that he just brought out, which was like four ways to get in without needing to get rid of conference championship games or even extend the field. I don't think that was going to work, mostly because what Bill's doing, let me go at this another way. The formats that you and I can come up with for how to decide a national championship rarely involve money. The formats that you and I come up with, I should say, you and I come up with before I became a professional, is who's getting paid, how are they getting paid? How are we allocating funds here? Because I believe you're as smart as I am about some of this, right? Which is to say, if I gave you 138 teams and asked you to come up with a fair way for them to play for and win the national championship without anybody feeling like they're left out, you can do that. What I think you can't do is divvy up the money differently than it's being divvied up today. No one likes to talk about that part. No one likes to talk about ESPN is paying $7.6 billion for the 12-team playoff. It would not like to extend it past 16 because there just aren't that many places for ESPN to put on football games, so they would have to, perhaps do something else with that inventory. They've already demonstrated they're willing to sell that inventory to like TNT, sublicense, right? We're also talking about something the public can follow. This is a hardcore college football show. You've already known this. This is not for casuals. We don't really entertain casuals here. I take that back. We entertain some casuals, but only in as far as they are not casual about their football teams. You can be casual about the game. If you're just up on first downs and fourth downs and touchdowns and false starts versus encroachment, we can work with that. What we cannot work with is, are you boomer sooner? Are you sooner bred? And when you die, you'll be sooner dead. Are you a Buckeye for life? Are you a Michigan fan come hell or high water? If Brendan Sorsby gets pinched, you might not know what the hell is going on with his gambling addiction, but you damn sure know that we got to have a starting quarterback. That is the kind of fan that we do here, right? It's not football bully. That's not what we're doing. If you're a fan of your team, if you got a jersey or a t-shirt around, or you see somebody talking about your team and your eyes go like that, you know where you're at, right? And I think that person also feels a sense of, fear around what the game might be becoming. But it's already there. We've got administrators right now wringing their hands because the College Sports Commission that they empowered to police them is policing them. And it is not making it easy for them to spend their money on players. And the Big Ten has a much larger alumni and donor base than the SEC. You can weaponize that, right? You can use that to your benefit. And it has led some to say we should probably break away. Well, you can't really break away and do the House settlement because it's just going to cost too much. Because you still got to adhere to the terms in the House settlement while also building your own governance, which is much easier or much harder than you think. Like, I don't want to model you in this too much, but if I asked you to take a landmass like Alaska and turn it into a sovereign country, you might not ever see the day that the UN would recognize your country as a part of the United Nations because the work is so much. I mean, we're not just talking about who's in charge. We're talking about how people vote. We're talking about how people move their money. It's just so much more that goes into it that I don't think most conference commissioners and teams want to deal with. Like I've said before, the NCAA is a maid service. Imagine not having a maid service at your 5-star, 500-room hotel. You decided you're going to staff it yourself. Where are you going to find the maids? Probably the NCAA, the service that you just fired. But are they all going to want to come work for you? And what says you know anything about how to better do their job than they do? You're going to teach them how to turn down a bed better than they can turn down a bed? There's just so much more that's going into this. And I think a lot of this doesn't factor in you're dealing with people, and people are irrational. People do not make rational decisions. They do things that are not in their self-interest. One of the reasons why I'm talking to y'all about AI and it ain't all that it's cracked up to be. AI looks around and says, you the problem. Not I'm here to fix the problem for you. It says you're the problem. That's why Skynet went live. It could not trust human beings to look after themselves. So you got Terminators going, the problem with this planet? Humans. I'm just saying, you got to be very careful about what it is you think that you're fixing. Put myself through school at TU as a tech. ASE, breaks and suspension. Don't start fixing what ain't broken. College football playoff is broken. You can't fix it with a 2014 playoff. But if you start trying to put all these other qualifiers in the way, you're going to have a problem. I think knowing that Ryan Day wants a shorter season, started earlier, finished the first week of January, is huge. Knowing that Jed Fish and PJ Fleck can tell you we're 18 for 18 on this, we really want a 2014 playoff, is huge. Because even if it's the wrong decision, having everybody believe in that decision will probably turn it into a better outcome than if you chose the right decision and not everybody was all in. Because again, human beings are irrational. If we all believe we're right, we're much likely to have a better time doing this.